as an addict, and I've talked to, again, like the case studies, my own personal anecdotal case studies who I've talked to when I was going to AA.
Yeah. If you're the kind of alcoholic or drug addict I am, and I'm not saying anybody is or isn't, they can do their own thing. If you are the kind that I am, you ain't having one or two drinks.
Yes.
First of all, I won't even enjoy it. I could pretend I'm going to enjoy it. I was selling some drugs, and I had a pouch of drugs. It had a bunch of methadone, heroin, a bunch of pills. It had a bunch of stuff in it, right? And I was using and selling some stuff. I went to jail for 30 days. So methadone, a drug that's supposed to help you, is more addictive physically than heroin. It's hardly a month-long detox.
Yeah, because it's opiates, right?
Yeah. And I was sick. You ain't going for, you're playing it safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If you're playing big and you're going for shit, you're gonna fail.
Yeah, not taking risk is taking a risk. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of the other way. It's kind of like, okay,
I see what you're saying, for sure. Yeah. Taking a risk by doing nothing with your fucking life. Right?
Exactly. I always have this quote about saying my martial arts and my alcoholism was fighting, and then martial arts choked alcoholism out. So, dude, I remember it was the Ravens and the 49ers playing, right, in the Super Bowl, the Harbaugh brothers. And we went to APTs. I went with two of my girlfriends, and we were taking shots, right? It was like Patron because we won our bets. And for those of you that don't know, I've been like an alcoholic. I know that's what they say in AA. Like, if once you're an alcoholic, you deem to be always an alcoholic. But then I don't want to self-identify. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I get why they do it. Don't get me wrong. And I don't think there's one right or a wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
But, anyway, I needed to explain that for, people that are listening.
Context.
For context. And so anyway, we were at a PT's, and then two of my friends ended up leaving. It was like 2:00 in the morning, like 3:00 or something. And of course, me being a drunk, I was like, oh, I'm going to stay. Right?
Wait, this is in Vegas?
This was in Vegas. Okay. Yeah. And 6 guys walk in like randomly at the bar. And then, knowing me, I was kind of like an angry drunk when I blacked out. Oh yeah, I was blacked out, by the way, at that point.
Okay.
As far as the bartender told me. Because I don't remember. But so I go up to those guys randomly, and I'm sitting there talking shit. Just randomly, right? And finally, I think like maybe 2 to 5 minutes later, one of the guys blindsided me because he was just sick of me talking shit.
Yeah.
And then my fucking head bounced off the tile. Oh. Yeah, and then they started like stomping on my head, and then the bartender, shout outs those, he probably saved my life that night. Oh, shit, yeah. But he jumped over the bar.
You knew him.
I did. I mean, I was a local. Okay, so we had that business relationship.
Yeah.
And he stopped it, and then he took me to the lounge, and then all of a sudden I ended up falling asleep. Right. That's what he told me the next day.
Right.
When he was taking me back to my car because I didn't drive over there. So he tells me, yeah, man, I told him, I was like, oh, thanks, man. My jaw kind of hurts. He was like, oh, yeah. Do you know what happened last night? And I tell him, I just fell asleep in the lounge, right? On the couch. He was like, let me tell you what happened. So that's what happened. So yeah, this podcast is going to be that, of course, with martial arts and, substance abuse, because you, Jay, over here, my guest, you worked with your friend in a facility that helps Can you talk a little bit about that? That helps substance abusers?
Well, I've been working and running treatment centers for the past 10, 11 years out in California. The last place was a friend of mine that I worked with is from Knoxville, Tennessee. He moved to Knoxville, Tennessee to open up his own treatment center. And he called me up and asked me if I would come out there and help him get it open and run it. And I did. And that was before I came to Vegas, that's where I was for the year prior. And it's something I've been doing for a while.
Why? What got you into it, man?
So just like you, I had a problem. So,
all right.
Okay. So
So you were at the facility, or you were working at the facility.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I went. So that was, and then I was out there for about a year, and then I came back over here. This is how I ended up back in Las Vegas. But to jump way back to like kind of what you were talking about. The reason I got into that in the first place, because drugs played a big part of my life. And it started out, martial arts will also tie in with this, because when it started out, it was mostly drinking in high school. And I would go out and drink, and I wasn't necessarily an angry drunk, but I liked to get into fights. I thought I wanted to perceive that I was a tough guy, and I was smaller than everyone, and I always looked really young. I looked like a little kid, right? So I felt like I had to compensate that. When I got a few drinks in me, or a bunch of drinks in me, I would want to get into fights. And I would go out and I would start fights all the time, like every weekend, and I would black out as well. So I would wake up in the morning and I would go look in the mirror, and I'd have to see if my face was bloody, if my hands were bloody, and then try to piece together what happened, what fights I got in. That went through a lot of high school. So I kind of knew I had a drinking problem, but I didn't know how bad it could actually get. And
what's going on, guys? If you're enjoying this podcast, please don't forget to like the videos and subscribe to the channel, only if you're getting value out of it on YouTube, and also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a rating and follow. And also, I also write a blog newsletter from what I learned from my incredible guests that I have on. So sign up for the email list and get updates on the podcast. Thank you for your love and support. Now back to the show. Man, you know what? I love the transparency, because just from hearing your story just right there, that little, that talk that you just had, man, I felt the same way. I felt like I was the smallest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I had to compensate. Like I wasn't happy with myself. I didn't work out. I was like eating like shit.
It's funny looking back on. So in the moment, I would never have realized, or you could never told me that I had a self-esteem problem and I was overcompensating and I was trying to act like a tough guy, right? I thought I was a tough guy, and that's what tough guys do, right? It's not until later and training martial arts and actually knowing what it means to have real confidence and actually be a tough guy that, just for the record, I've never been in another street fight in the last 20 years since I started training and fighting martial arts, right? That's the conundrum, the weird part about it, right? But so in that, now when I look back, it's like, why was I doing that? I obviously had something to try to prove that because I didn't believe it myself,
Yeah, I mean, everything is, hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Exactly.
Like, you don't realize it till you look back. But I'll bet you, if you were at the present moment and then you were you now, and then you were looking at that kid, you actually thought that you were trying to, you just like to fight. That you made it your identity at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
But now looking back at it, and from what you know, especially through experience, through martial arts, which obviously this all ties in.
Yes.
Yeah, now you realize it's kind of like, oh shit,
Yeah, 100%.
There's a lot of epiphanies that you went through.
So there was already a problem then, like drinking, and it was causing a problem in life. that was my life. I would go and drink, I would get drunk, and I would get in trouble, get arrested. I've probably been arrested 50 times, right? Not like to prison or to jail, but like arrested for doing something stupid and, bailed out the next day. And then as time went on, after I graduated high school, I got into harder drugs and cocaine and so weed, obviously, and then cocaine and benzos and pills became a lot. Man. And then the town I grew up in was a lot of heroin addicts. And I always made it a point, I never want to be a heroin addict.
Where'd you grow up?
Gloucester, Massachusetts. Outside of Boston, Mass.
Okay.
And I knew that everyone was a heroin addict. My friends all started to become heroin addicts, and I still was like, thought I was above it and it wasn't going to be me. Sure enough, I turned into a heroin addict. I went away to school. I went to University of New Hampshire, and I was living up there. And my brother and a few of my friends came up to visit me and brought some heroin, and I tried it. And
this was the first time?
That was the first time,
man. Yeah. Talk about it, man.
Yeah. I loved it. I knew I was going to love it. I had taken Percocets, and I knew it was the same high, right? But I just like heroin's dirty, junkies.
Because you got to inject, right? It's like the perception too.
Yeah, and you don't have to. You start out snorting. On the West Coast, it's a powder, not the tar.
Gotcha.
So you start out, most people start out, you snort it, right? So it's still not that bad, but it's still, you think of heroin as injecting it and being dirty and diseases and everything else, right? So you don't want to do it. And I loved it. I loved the high. Absolutely loved it. And I think less than a year later, I was literally strung out on heroin, having to use it, having to do whatever it took to get money and to get high. And then I started going to detox. I'd probably been in and out of detox 50, 60 times, in and out. So that's also what I thought. Today I have great willpower. Like my diet, my training regimen, like people that know me know my discipline is like on point. And if they don't know me really good, they can't imagine that I was a drug addict because I'm so disciplined. but one has nothing to do with the other, right? That my discipline did nothing for me to stop my drug addiction.
Yeah, you know, that's a great point. That's a great point because, listen, man, I think with addicts, right? And I've talked to a lot of them, especially, you know, in and out of AA and all that stuff back then, is that, look, I don't know if like an addiction, quote unquote, personality is a real thing. I don't know. I know we have predisposition of genes from like, say, if your family was alcoholics. I do deem that to be true, like inheritance, you know? But when we talk about like addiction personalities, I'm starting to think, looking back, that it's real. Because just like you, like I said, we're just by talking to you, you know, for a few minutes now, we're the same, pretty much, from the story that you told me, because I'm also disciplined like that as well. I'm going to make it. You know what I mean? If I say something, I'm going to do it. And then when I tell my coworkers where I used to before, they'll kind of say, wait, what? You're a fucking alcoholic? I don't believe that, man, because you go train and all that stuff. Yeah.
The thing is that the same mentality that I have now, right, with making sure I do like all in with everything, right? I've always been this way, all in with everything, right? And when I changed my mindset and I'm all in with health and nutrition and training and working out and fighting, right? It's an incredible thing. My life is great and I look like a person that has the best discipline I can do it. But when I'm all in on negative shit, like doing drugs, right? I'm also all in there too, right? So you have to understand that personality of that can make me great can also burn me down real quick.
Absolutely. And I think for the most part, that's a lot of people, because just the basics of it, meaning it's easier to do dumb, stupid shit because it's easy to do, right? Like we can go to a liquor store right now, get fucking hammered without anything. But to have the discipline to train, it takes some force. Yeah. It takes some force. Whereas right now, right, I've been about 3.5, 4 years sober. I can literally just go to the liquor store and drink if I really, really wanted to. Yeah. But say if I didn't work out or not do martial arts, that takes a lot of like willpower, discipline, motivation to do. Yeah. You know, so it's a lot harder.
True. Big difference for sure. And but for some reason, I obviously have the discipline. It's obviously been within me all the time. Yet when I wanted to stop using drugs, when I would go to detox, I thought I'm dope sick. I'm shooting heroin. If I don't do heroin, I'm going to be sick, right? That can't happen. So I'll go to detox. They'll give me medication and then I'll get out of there in a week and I won't be sick anymore. And then I can just stop using and I'll be good. That's what I thought. So I would go in and I would come out and I'd get bored. And 2 days later, I'd be shooting heroin again. What the fuck is going on, right? It didn't make sense to me. And I tried it again. I didn't understand. So when they talk about addiction, they talk about the physical allergy, right? Which is once you so if it's alcohol, once you have one drink, if you're an alcoholic,
you can't stop.
You don't know what's going to happen, right? Or once I start shooting dope, I don't just do it once. I'm on a run, right? That physical, but that's what I thought addiction was. So I thought if I could go to detox, get well so that I'm not dope sick anymore. I don't have heroin in me. The problem is solved. I don't have to worry about the physical allergy as long as I don't do it. Right. That makes sense. That made sense to me. Right. That's why I kept going to detox. Right. I didn't realize about the mental obsession, which is the other part of the disease that you learn about in like 12-step programs. The mental obsession is kind of the mind's ability to make you believe a lie is kind of a way I like to put it. So I get out of detox. I'm feeling good. My mind says to me, I know rationally, I know if I use heroin once, I'm not going to be able to stop. Right. But my mind starts to trick me. It'll tell me whatever kind of lie. Like I'm a great manipulator, especially to myself, because I know my ins and outs. Right. I know where to trick myself. Oh, what if I just use this one time? Or what if instead of using that, I just smoked weed, or I just had a few drinks, or whatever it might be. I used took some Xanax, right? However my mind has to lie to me, it does it. And because I'm a drug addict, I believe that lie and I use it. And once I use it, then the physical addiction kicks back in, and I don't stop until I'm strung out again.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the biggest I think problem that addicts have. Yeah, is that you try to justify. Yeah. that you can, after you've been sober for a while. And I've done that all my life.
That's the mental obsession of alcoholism. Sure. The ability to trick yourself into believing whatever bullshit story you're telling yourself.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because look, honestly, it's still in you and you want to keep doing it, right? You try to find excuses. Yeah, I'll have like 2 drinks and then I should be good because I've been so disciplined.
Yeah.
But then just like you, I knew, but I wanted that drink so bad, right? Yeah. Like in the moment, I tried to justify it and then mask it with the justification, masquerading in it. And then all of a sudden, I drink 2 neat fucking Maker's Mark or whatever whiskey I'm drinking. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, well, I don't really have to go work early tomorrow.
Your inhibitions are gone. You believe it, whatever the hell you're telling yourself at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. And then even the next day, right? And you're like, well, that was just one time.
Yeah. Right? And I get, but tonight won't be so bad. It'll only be twice. Right. A week later, you're still drunk. You're like, what the hell is going on? It was really a mindset shift, a perception change, if you will. Mindset is huge to me, and there's people have different mindset, but your mindset is really your perception about a specific thing. And when it came to food, for example, this is kind of the same concept of like, I thought of alcohol and drugs as having fun and partying. It wasn't a big deal. And I prided myself on being able to drink more and do more drugs and being great at hustling money to get, selling drugs or doing this or that. Same thing with food. For me, with like now my mindset, my concept around food is different. My concept of food is I eat to make my body feel as good as possible, to be as healthy as possible. Most people's idea of food is they eat because whatever they can afford and whatever tastes the best.
It makes them feel good.
That's what people eat. I need to eat to live. I'm going to eat whatever tastes the best or whatever I can afford. With that mindset, why would you ever eat healthy? Like you won't, right? My mindset completely shifted around food. I eat whatever it takes to make me perform and feel and live the longest and feel the best during my lifetime. And now what I realized is I can also make that food taste amazing too. And I still love to eat and I feel I love what I eat, but I'm very particular. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat meat. I don't eat gluten, right? I'm very particular, but because that's how my body feels best. So for food for me now, my mindset shift has gone from wanting to taste good to wanting to perform best, right?
What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you're enjoying the show so far. I hope that you're getting a lot of value out of it. Just a quick announcement. I started a YouTube and Patreon membership for you Speakeasy Squad listeners out there. So for YouTube, just click down below to join. And also for Patreon, I'll post a link down below so that you can join for you Spotify and Apple podcast listeners out there. What you get is behind the scene footage and early access to podcasts, some pictures, photos, and whatever behind the scenes shoots that we do. So click the links down below and all the proceeds, actually all of it goes into this podcast. So to enhance productions, to get bigger guests on, all of it. So thank you for your love and support. And now back to the show. Did you do all that as soon as you stopped? Or drinking or something.
So I did. Abuse? So we're working in treatment now. It's kind of funny. I'll see people. They'll be like, "Okay, I'm quit. I just quit heroin. Right? I just quit heroin. That's good enough. I'm gonna smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day while hitting my vape. I'm gonna drink 17 cups of coffee, and they're literally like taking packets of sugar in the treatment center and like pouring them in their mouth, dry scooping sugar, right? Just to feel like." I didn't do that. I was like, if I'm gonna rip off the Band-Aid of heroin and cocaine, I'm taking it all off at once, and that's what worked for me, right? So that's what I tell people. That's what worked for me. It can work for you, right? I'm no better than anybody else, right? I did it this way, but it's not the only. My way isn't the only way. Some people need to. To take off one thing, one step at a time, but a lot of them never take the next step and they end up sober for a year and fat and angry and over caffeinated and not actually improving. I wanted to go all in at once.
That methodology, right? Like of how they say, well, you could, say you could have 2 drinks and all that. As an addict, and I've talked to, again, like the case studies, my own personal anecdotal case studies who I've talked to when I was going to AA was like, it never works.
Yeah.
for at least for the people, right? I don't know if it were, I don't know what the statistics are of like people having to cut off slowly. I know that's a thing. But then for me, man, I was the same way. It's either it's cold turkey or nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, just because it's proven that it doesn't work for me. Yeah. I'm going to get a drink and then I'm going to.
If you're the kind of alcoholic or drug addict I am, and I'm not saying anybody is or isn't, they can do their own thing. If you are the kind that I am, you ain't having 1 or 2 drinks.
Yes.
First of all, I won't even enjoy it. I could pretend I'm going to enjoy it. When I start to get a little buzz on, if you told me I had to stop right then, I would be pissed off and fucking angry. I need to get drunk, right? Or right? So it doesn't work for me. If you're not an alcoholic like me, that may work for you. People go out, have a few drinks, fantastic. I know I can't. Yeah. Right. It bothers me. It's a struggle to see people think that they can when over and over and over again, they've proven to themselves they can't.
And it sucks because what happens with that, and look, man, obviously we've both been through it and I'm not the one to judge, you know what I mean? Because everyone's different, but it's rough. It's a rough one, man, because you're tricking yourself into, I'll just have 2 drinks and all here. Well, you still have that disease of being an alcoholic. So it's almost not even them talking. It's the addiction talking to them, right? Yeah. They intend well. They want to quit. Yeah. I'm sure when you get deep into addictions and substance abuse, I'm sure everyone wants to quit, right? Like they have or if they're intentional about like, they really want to quit, I'm sure they really do.
Yeah. And they would pass a lie detector, but like I have people ready to leave treatments and I could hook them up to a lie detector. I'm not going to use, I'm going here to do this. I'm going to fly back home. I'm going to stay with my mom and she has a job. Like they can pass a lie. They believe that. By the time they get to the airport, they're drunk. Mm-hmm, what the fuck is that? They literally believe that was the plan and they're drunk by the time they get to the airport.
And then they're telling themselves, oh, this is my last drink before I go home.
And then it starts over again. A month later, they're calling back to rehab saying, I got to come back. And I'm like, no shit. I seen that coming before you left.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is that when we talk, like, so I had a few friends, right, that would say, man, I'm drinking too much. These guys would drink like 2 glasses of wine and then they're good. They're good. Yeah. They're just like, they drink 1 glass of wine and then they're like, man, I drank too much. I got a headache, man. I think I'm an alcoholic. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, perception, right? So,
But that's good for them.
Yes, fantastic.
That's good for them.
For me, I could drink, I could be blackout drunk and still think that I don't have a problem because I went to work the next day or whatever was great.
Functioning, right?
Yeah. When I came out here the first time, I was already on the methadone. You know what methadone is? They don't use it too much anymore. Now they use Suboxone, but it's a drug that you take. You go to a clinic, a doctor prescribes it, and every day you take methadone. It's a synthetic, it's an opiate, right? So it acts like heroin, doesn't get you as high as heroin. It's long lasting. You take it in the morning, you drink it, and then it makes you not want to get high, right? So typically they use it to detox people, but you can also, you can get it and stay on it so that you don't want to get high, so you can get a job and live your life. So I did that, and really it should be done short term, the first couple months that you're trying to get sober so that you kind of get your shit together and then you come off of it. I stayed on it for 13 years, which was a huge crutch in it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And here's the thing. I'm not against it. It probably saved my life and it saves other people's lives. But if I could do it now, I could have done it then if I was ready. I just wasn't ready. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And if people ain't ready, getting on Suboxone or methadone might save their life, but it also might make them think that that's great. They can stay on it for the rest of their life, and it kind of holds them back. But anyway, I was on that so I'd already started training and fighting. I started training in 2005, and then my first fight was in 2006, my first MMA fight. And
did you have any experience before that? Or did you just
grew up, so I used to go to the boxing club as a kid, and I did a little bit of boxing, but from like literally as a kid, 5 years old to maybe like 12 years old. But so it wasn't nothing serious, but I understood. I was a big fan of boxing. I loved the sport. I'm old. The UFC came out when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'll be 51 next month.
Okay.
Yeah. So I graduated high school the year that UFC came out. So I was already, and I hadn't done any wrestling, and I loved it right off the bat. I was a huge buy. I was like, oh, that's something I want to do, but there was nowhere to do it. I had no idea how to even go about trying to do it. And I ended up getting into drugs instead. But then when I turned 30, I was already on the methadone clinic at this point. I'd been through ups and downs, detoxes, sober, high, right? And I started training. I freaking loved it right off the bat. Changed the way I thought I was. I was also 210 pounds. I was fat. I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. And I was like, it revamped my life. A year later, I had my first MMA fight at 135 pounds. So that's like what, 75, 65, 75 pounds, 85 pounds less than where I was. Right?
Because of the training and
because
discipline.
Of the training. And yeah.
Did you start, were you eating right at that point already? Or were you just like.
Right then I started eating better. I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I started doing better, but I was still on methadone. So I wasn't like completely sober. I wasn't 100% bettering my life. And I trained for a couple of years and I was like, I'm going to move to Las Vegas. That's where the best training is. That's the fight capital of the world. Yeah. And I moved, and I also I'd been working on a casino boat. So I was a blackjack and a craps dealer. I'd worked in restaurants my whole life. So I'd managed restaurants. I was a bartender, server, everything, right? So I was like, Vegas is perfect for me. I can fight. I can work at a casino. I can work in a restaurant. You know what I mean? I could do a whole. Right? So when I came out, I kind of kept it together for a while. And I was training jiu-jitsu every day, training MMA. I had a bunch of fights. And then at one point, my dad passed away. And my dad didn't have a bunch. I didn't realize he had any money. He had separated from my mom. He was living like in a small like basement apartment, but he had a couple, like I think like $150,000, $200,000 or something. He left it to me and my brother.
Wow, really?
Right. I was like, wow, we didn't even realize. So I had all this money that got left me, and I'm in Las Vegas, and I went off the rails.
Oh,
I went on like literally. I burned through all that money. My brother came out. My brother was out here with me, and he had just got out of prison. He was on parole. He wasn't even supposed to leave Massachusetts, but he flew out here. So we got all this money, and I went on a tear. I'm spending it. I'm doing so much drugs.
Gambling? Were you
gambling? I was staying at the Golden Nugget, and I had a suite. And then when the money started to run out, I ended up in a shitty hotel. And then I was selling some drugs, and I had a pouch of drugs. It had a bunch of methadone, heroin, a bunch of pills. It had a bunch of stuff in it, right? And I was using and selling some stuff. And I left it in my room, and I was supposed to give up that room. That was my last night. And I went downstairs. I was like, I'm going to keep the room for another night. And I paid her for the other night. And I left to go to, I think I went to like a blackjack tournament. When I came back, my room, they didn't realize I was staying there. The maids, I must have been on the list. So they went through my room and they found a bag and they looked in, it was full of drugs, and they brought it to security. Security called the police. So I get home, I go to my room, I lay down, I'm taking a nap, and I get a knock on the door, and it's the police, and they come in and they have they have my bag full of drugs, and they want to, tell me where you got it from, what you're doing with it. And I'm like, that isn't mine. What are you talking about?
Bro, I don't know what the rules are to that, but there has to be some sort of like...
I knew there was no way they could pin that on me.
Yeah,
it could have been left there.
Exactly.
The ladies could have put more in it. There was no chain of command. Like I knew a little bit about the law because I've been arrested a million times. So I wasn't too scared. So I just kept my mouth shut. They arrested me. I needed $10,000 to bail out. And I got a bail bond. They let me out.
Isn't that like 20%? Like
yeah, it was
10,
like, I think it was $100,000 bail.
Right.
I had to pay $10,000, and they paid it for me.
Okay.
I wasn't supposed to leave the state. I actually, me and my friends flew to Canada to do the Abu Dhabi trials. I think it was a jiu-jitsu tournament in Canada. While I was out on bail, I wasn't supposed to leave the state. and when we get to the airport, they sent me through customs and like through the security, like the check. I was like, oh, I'm fucked. They're gonna run this. See, I have a warrant. See, I'm on, I'm not supposed to be on. And the dude doing my customs, see my cauliflower ears, and he's like, oh, dude, he's like, you here for the tournament? You either trained jiu-jitsu or you knew about it. I was like, yeah. He's like, go ahead, you're good. And he just let me through. I was like, sweet,
that's cool.
But I came back. The case ended up getting dropped, but I was still a mess. I was trying to still compete and train and fight, but I kind of dropped off the map at that point. At one point, I was in a shitty hotel room, locked in the closet, in the bathroom. My brother was in the other room, and I was shooting cocaine.
Oh, can we take it a step back real quick?
Yeah.
Before that, yeah. I mean, before we get to the climax of that, why was it dropped?
It was dropped for the exact reason. There was no. So they couldn't prove that it was even mine. That someone before me didn't leave it in the hotel room. That I got a lawyer. That the maid that found it wasn't her. You know what I mean? There was no proof that it was.
That's what I mean.
Stuff.
That's why I was like, that's kind of not sketchy. Yeah. Like, But then, yeah, exactly. How can they pin that on you?
I was pretty sure that was it. When I talked to a lawyer, he was like, I wouldn't worry about it. So I wasn't too stressed. So I was still out doing drugs and everything. And then this was the climb I was in. I was on everything, but I was shooting cocaine, which is it's like a different drug than snorting cocaine. Like you have this insane, and I'd been out for probably 3 days, and I did it, and my brother, I don't remember at all. My brother heard a thump, and he tried to get in the bathroom, and it was locked. And he had to break the door down. And he said, I was literally foaming at the mouth. My eyes would roll back in my head. And I was like having a seizure, like
no
overdose
way.
on the ground. And he tried to wake me up and nothing was working. And he had to kick the door in. So we knew security at the hotel heard him, was probably coming up. And he had skipped parole. He shouldn't even have been out of the state of Massachusetts. So he's like, I got to get out of here. And so he took off. And evidently I lived. I literally don't remember what happened or how I woke up, if they brought me to the hospital. I don't remember for like a week. When I finally got my shit together, I realized
And you were at the tournament, right? Like,
this was after the tournament. This was after I got back to Vegas, right? But this was right around the same time. I was still trying to hold it together. I was trying to go to the gym and do tournaments and yet do the other stuff. It was bad. And I realized, and I was like, you know what? I need to go to treatment. And I took I had a couple of $1,000 left, and I had insurance too. And I went to this treatment center in California, got on a plane, left I was staying at a house where I had all my stuff. I left everything there, went to California. I ended up staying in California. I got sober, and I never looked back. I lost all the shit I had out here, and I started, I got, I don't know why it worked this time. I think I had this change in my perception. Like I really wanted this after fighting, and I wanted to fight some more, and I love training. I had something to actually strive towards, that hope.
Yeah, because you had already been training, and then like you said, you were after the competition. So did you? Oh, there's so much to unpack with what you said.
Yeah, go ahead. I kind of ran through that story a little, jumped around.
No, that's all right. But first of all, did you compete?
I did. I competed in Canada.
All right.
I think it was, I think it was one of the Abu Dhabi trials. I forget what it was. It was a bigger tournament. I think brown and black belts were combined at that time. I was a brown belt at the time, so my division was brown and black. And I think I won my first match. I think I lost my second one, or I didn't do great in the tournament. It wasn't bad. I did okay, but I didn't win it all.
Were you hopped up when you were doing the tournament?
I don't think I was high for the tournament. I was still on like methadone, so I wasn't like dope sick, right? I took enough so that I wasn't sick and I could work.
You were functional.
Yes, but I wasn't high.
Yeah. So you go to Canada and then you go back to Vegas. That's when you started. Yeah. Cause I just want to break it down in pieces. Yes. No, that's okay. It's I get it, but you came back and then you were at a hotel room, you said?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden your brother was there.
Yeah, my brother had flew out to kind of hang out with me. Yeah, he was living out there with me.
And then were you staying at the hotel room because you had no place to stay?
I actually had an apartment. I was staying at the hotel room because I had all that money. I was staying in a suite. I had a really nice hotel room, but then that went away. My money was dwindling. To be honest with you, I don't even know why I didn't just go to my apartment. You know why? Because I was on the strip. That's where where I was getting stuff. I had my drug deal was just coming right to the hotel rooms. It was just easy, and I still had money left. So why not? I just had to cut back on the spending. It had to be a shitty hotel room, not the the gorgeous suite at the.
That's what I was gonna ask next. Yeah. I was like, wait, were you on the fucking presidential suite of the Golden Nugget, or was it a Motel 6?
I was for a while,
yeah,
and I was doing a lot of drugs and partying there. But at this point, I think I was still at the Golden Nugget, but I downgraded to one of their shitty rooms when this happened. Because I'm barred from the Golden Nugget, or I was, obviously.
You were banned? You were 86th?
Yeah.
Really? How come?
For that, the cops came and arrested me there. So that was definitely at the Golden Nugget.
That's why I had to take it back, because if they drop, I get they can 86 you at any time, Even as a kid, I got 86.
I never even tried to go back. If I wanted to go back and be like, oh, that case was dropped, blah, blah, blah. I mean, if I went in there now, they probably spent 15 years. They probably wouldn't know who I was.
Oh, dude, it's statute of limitations. Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
I'm not worried about it, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember there was, when it all happened.
Yeah, exactly. And because like I said, they can ban you at any time. It doesn't even have to be from something serious.
Yeah.
When I was at the Orleans when I was a kid, I think we were, I don't know, like, oh, honestly, this is legit. I think I spit on the ground. They were like, you can't do that. And then you were 86. They had the security, you know, those mall cops.
Yeah.
They had to sit with four friends because I like spit on the ground. And I'm not even like over exaggerating. They were like, sit down, kid. And then I think looking back now, they just wanted to kind of, you know, strut around and kind of bully people around.
Like they can ban people from winning too much money. Like even if they don't know they're cheating. Like this dude's. I worked in a casino boat years ago out of Boston, and there was a guy that was just a really good gambler. He was playing blackjack, and he would play progressively. When he was winning money, he'd bet more, and he was there for like a week straight, always winning money. And I was a pit boss at the time, and my boss came up to me and said, "You got to tell that guy we don't want his action. He can't come back." I'm like, I can't tell him that. He didn't do nothing wrong. He's winning. They're like, I don't care. This is my boat. He ain't coming back. I had to go tell the guy he couldn't come back.
Hey man, when the eye of the sky lets you know, like you're done. You're done for, man. It doesn't matter. Otherwise, you're getting casino like Al Pacino and. But
bring him in the basement. We're gonna break his hands.
That's it, dude. I was just watching that last night, by the way. That's funny. But yeah, man. So you get back to Vegas, and then all of a sudden you're pretty much overdosing, foaming at the mouth.
I get really bad. Yeah, I have that bad overdose.
Mm-hmm. And then your brother, you said your brother kicked in the door. I mean, I know you don't remember,
he told me
right?
the story, yeah. Okay. And then I bet. So there was like a weeks after that, my brother wouldn't even hang out with me. He's like, Jay, I can't even talk to you. You're doing so much. And he was doing drugs with me. He's like, you're so bad. It's giving me anxiety. You're gonna die. I can't even talk to you. I can't hang out with you. When my brother, who was also a heroin addict,
you just told me that he couldn't even be in the state, right?
Yeah, he wasn't like, supposed to be out of Massachusetts.
So he was already in trouble.
Yeah, so when he's telling me that he can't even be around me because he knows I'm gonna die, like it gives him too much anxiety. I knew I had a serious problem.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
And I knew, obviously, when you're doing that much drugs, you know there's a problem. You don't want to face it, right? That kind of made me face it. And that's when I made some phone calls and I got into a treatment center in California.
Wow.
And and that's where my journey into getting sober and working in treatment really started.
When you went into treatment this time around, right?
Yeah.
In California, how did you pay? Did you still have money left from what your dad left you, or was it grants or
that was literally I spent the last couple thousand for the treatment center to pay for the treatment center.
Okay.
I had insurance. I think I had insurance, but I think I needed it. My insurance wasn't that good, and I needed to spend a little bit more on top of it to go to the treatment center I wanted to go to, and that was the rest of my money.
Oh, interesting. And then, so with you going to the facility, did you go back? You know, were you doing the back and forth kind of thing? Like you relapsed and then went back, and then
so I had done that 100 times back in Boston. This time, I went to the facility. I finished a month of treatment there. I was doing right off the bat. I was like started jogging. They let me go out and jog up and down the hill. Started working out. I was doing push-ups right down the street. There was a jiu-jitsu gym that they would let me go and train at. After I was there for a couple weeks. I swear to God, it was great. Yeah. And then that was in Orange County. And then when I graduated the month program, I moved up to LA to the sober living. That was really the owner of the sober living lived there, and he became a great friend of mine and a mentor of mine. And that really, I stayed sober and I got into like the AA program, and that really changed my life. And then about a year sober, just under a year sober, I moved out of the sober living. I was working 2 jobs. I had changed my life, dude. I'm this like hardcore drug addict from Boston. Like, I don't even think I had ever told my mom I love her before. I was very like just kind of closed off.
Sure, yeah.
I started working at this hippie vegan restaurant in Venice, California, called Cafe Gratitude, where before you start work, you sit down with another employee and you talk about your feelings.
No way.
Swear to God, like this was literally completely out of my comfort zone, exactly the opposite of what my lifestyle was.
Did you just happen to run into that, or you meant to go there because it was the Gratitude Cafe? You know they were doing it.
No, I ran into it. So this guy named Tommy Rosen that was sponsoring one of the guys at the sober living I was at. He's this yoga instructor. He had like 10 years sober. Really cool guy, amazing guy. I was like, I need to talk to this guy. And he became my first sponsor in AA. And he's like, I was already on this journey to get healthy, and I started eating a plant-based diet, and he was into all that stuff. He's like, you got to come to this Cafe Gratitude place with me. And he brought me, and I loved it. And he knew the owner, and he's like, I was like, I'd like to work here. He's like, I'll put in a good word for you with the owner. And the funny thing is, most of my life, I'd worked in the restaurant business. I like ran and managed restaurants. I was like I know what I'm doing in the restaurant business, but he's seen this. Tommy asked if you could get this newly sober drug addict a job, and he said yes, right? So when they realized that I knew what I was doing in the restaurant business, I actually became the manager of the restaurant after a few years. But I loved it there. But it was completely out of my comfort zone. We would go on trips up to their farm in Northern California. They had this farm that the owners of the restaurant owned, and like they grew all the stuff that we served at the restaurant. And we would go up there, and they had like a sauna and a jacuzzi like on the farm, and we would like hang out and cook meals and play guitar and sing around bonfires, like this weird hippie shit. That was great.
Yeah, so it kind of sounds like the owner was, what's it called? Maybe Christian. I don't know. I mean, that's probably.
It almost came off as like culty. Like people talked about it being culty. It wasn't culty at all.
Wellness, yeah.
Yeah, but it was they were just these old vegan hippies that like were into love and gratitude, and they started this cafe to kind of promote it. Yeah, and I ended up there.
Let me bring that back. So what would you do? You'd sit down, and then you'd have to talk to someone.
It was called clearing. So you started your work shift. You had to grab another employee that was starting their shift, go to the corner of the restaurant, have a seat. And I forget exactly what they were. They were different questions you had to ask each other, like, how are you feeling today? What was your day like? There was a question of the day, which might have been anything from, what are you most grateful for? Or what are, I don't know, some random questions of the day. And you had to ask each other that and answer it back and forth. Then you were done. You usually said some word, you had to say something of words of affirmation to your colleague. And then you stood up and you hugged each other, and you went on, you signed in, you did your shift.
Wow.
Just that alone was like uncomfortable to me. I was right off the bat, I was like, I need to get uncomfortable. I need to change everything. Not just everything outside, not just like where I hang out and who I hang out with. I need to change my way of thinking completely. That's what I knew that's what I needed to do. And I did. I literally, that place like softened me, made me okay with kind of talking about feelings a
being
little
vulnerable.
bit. Yeah, I was kind of closed off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny what like drugs and alcohol and all that stuff will do to you, because that's what it naturally does.
Yeah.
It puts you in like a prison loop, right? You're two in your head, and then when you're two in your head, especially with the substances, even if you're not in substances, if you don't do anything, you just lay in bed, your mind starts running. It's just completely terrible.
And you have to live this persona. You can't be out there telling your drug dealer, you're out on the streets. You can't be telling people how great they look and how you love them and how, you know what I mean, asking them how they feel, right? That you got to have this tough guy persona, right?
Your environment.
Yeah. So I kind of had that like ingrained into me for the 30 years of my life, right?
Yeah.
So it was hard to break. It was stepping out of and now today, part of my whole mindset is a step out of your comfort zone. Like when I feel uncomfortable and I feel fear about something, I'm walking into it. I go for it.
It's the biggest, I think, the failure and then the discomfort. This is probably cliche now because of, the self-help books and stuff. Yeah. It's like you can't, I truly believe this, and you're going to run into it if you ever want to grow and change, is that you can't grow without failing.
100%.
You know what I mean?
If you ain't failing, you ain't going for. You're playing it safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. If you're playing big and you're going for shit, you're gonna fail.
Yeah, not taking risk is taking a risk. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of the other way. It's kind of like, okay,
I see what you're saying, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking a risk by doing nothing with your fucking life. Right?
Exactly. Right.
I'd rather like someone sent me something the other day. It was like, I forget what it was. It was like being fat or being healthy or whatever. Both have their negatives. Like which one do you want? Which pain do you want to feel?
Which pain do you want to feel?
Yes. Right.
It's very, very true.
Yeah, 100%.
You could sit there and then again, it's like the mind-body connection too. If you don't move your ass, dude, you're gonna be depressed.
Yeah.
Like let's just call, you know what I mean? Like
100%. So the treatment center, like jump back again or forward now, the treatment center that I went to Tennessee to open up with a friend of mine, I was basically running the treatment center and doing most of the groups and doing it, but I also lived at and handled the sober living house where all the clients lived. So I was 24/7 with the clients. The clients woke them up, drove them to the treatment center. They had their therapy sessions. I ran a group with them. One of the therapists would run a group with them. Then I would take them to the gym with me. They would come and do jiu-jitsu with me 3 days a week.
Wow.
They would go to a boxing club with me once or twice a week. And then we would go to Gold's Gym and lift weights on every other day.
With the facility that you were working at, helping people, just to reiterate to people, what was the demographic? Was it like older people? Was it younger people?
We would take anybody with substance abuse, drugs, alcohol, or co-occurring mental health issues. Right? We're licensed for both.
But then the people that were training with
generally, it was mostly younger adult, like from 24 to 30, maybe 21 to 30. Right? I actually had a 19-year-old kid, and then we had a couple guys that were like 60 years old. Well, there was a guy that was older. The very first client we had was he came in and I was like his sober companion because he was the only client. He lived with me in the sober living, and I would take him everywhere with me. I took him to so we would go to jiu-jitsu. He would come with me every day that I went because he started loving it. I heard back from Sean, the owner of the treatment center, that I heard from him, and he has like a year sober now, or a year sober, and he's been training jiu-jitsu and started training MMA every day since. And he loves it. It's changing his life.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah.
So jiu-jitsu, for me, just getting sober and maybe going to AA meetings or whatever they say was not nearly enough. I needed to expand. I needed to do everything, right? And I think I heard John Danaher say, the greatest thing about jiu-jitsu is it's like problem solving on the fly, right? Problem solving and like critical thinking is huge in life. In jiu-jitsu, there's a problem in front of you. You're trying to pass someone's guard, right? And you figure out how to solve the problem. And as you figure it out, they also figure it out and they change the problem. Now you have to solve another problem that you had thought you had just solved. And so it's constant you say you're doing a 5-minute round. It's 5 minutes of thinking and problem solving on the fly while your opponent's trying to do the same thing. How do those skills not help you in life? Of course they're going to.
Of course. And it's on the fly, right? You're literally doing everything on the fly.
Not just thinking about it. It's physical and mental combined.
Exactly.
Too, right?
And then all of a sudden you're getting into a flow state, which makes you forget about everything because you're enjoying yourself so much.
Yeah.
Right. And man, like I always said when I was fighting alcoholism and just like you, I was a functioning kind of alcoholic. I'd make it to all the jiu-jitsu classes, Muay Thai classes, MMA classes. I'd make it to all of them, man. And work, not just martial arts.
Yeah.
But then it was kind of like a con in a way because I conned myself into being, I'm functional.
Yeah.
I never miss work. I never call out. I never called out. Like, I was responsible.
Part of the problem. That actually adds to the problem. It's like when people's parents enable them. Right?
Sure.
The parents love the kids so much that they don't want to see them doing bad things, so they give them money so they don't go rob a store, so they can go get high.
Right.
You're not helping your kid. You need to cut them off and let them reach go to jail if that's what it takes, or become homeless.
Yeah. You have to kind of it sucks to say, but you almost have to throw them into the wolves. It's kind of like giving a gambler money.
Yeah,
to feed his gambling
There's
addiction.
a term in recovery, they say the gift of desperation, right? Think about it, makes no sense. Desperation is not really a gift, but it is in this sense, because when you finally get desperate enough, that's when you'll reach out and actually get some help.
Oh,
so
bro.
the gift of, when I got low enough and and when that overdose happened, that I finally received the gift of desperation where I was like, there's a fucking problem here. I need to change everything.
It's crazy. The paradox is crazy because like, you need to go, I don't know if you need to, you don't have to, because you can probably watch people, but addiction's different, right? It's almost that you have to reach rock bottom is what I was going for to actually realize it.
Yeah.
Like we can say all we want, for like, say a non-addict or even an addict, that it's like, all the quotes and all the inspirational motivation talks are great, but then you don't know till you actually hit that very, very bottom. You're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, if I don't do something, I'm going to be in jail or I'm going to be dead.
Yeah. And the thing with rock bottom rock bottom is different for everybody, but everybody hits their bottom, and that's when like your bottom might have been here, and there's a homeless dude living in the tunnels for the last 3 years.
It's
his
subjective.
bottom is way down here, right? And he's still not there yet. He's still okay with it. When you finally hit whatever your bottom is when that's usually when you reach when you get that gift of desperation and you want it. You can't do it for anybody else. If you want to do it for your kids, if you want to do it for your mom, if you want to do it for your girlfriend, that's great, but it's going to fizzle out. You got to want it for yourself. That's what I've seen.
No one can, even if you're not an addict, right? And if you wanted to change someone, say like you were in a relationship, and then all of a sudden your girlfriend was saying, "Oh yeah, you need to go to the gym more and stuff." If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it.
Right? You will to appease her.
To appease her, but then it'll stop real quick.
Fizzle out,
it'll fizzle out.
Yeah,
because there's not enough drive. There's not enough motivation. There's no internal realization, really.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not internal. It's external. You're doing it for someone else.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't have to be addiction. It's that's just the way of life.
That's life.
Yeah,
100%.
It's just the way of life, and that's the best thing I've ever heard. You can't change anyone unless that they want to be changed, right? And again, going back to what we were talking about, unfortunately, you have to reach like an existential crisis for that.
Yeah,
because it's when it hits hard. Man, it hits hard.
Yeah.
I always call it, I reached this point, and again, not just with substance abuse, but this did happen to me with alcohol. Just like, I think what you were saying, dude, I just cold turkeyed it. Like there was no process. One day I just woke up, I felt like shit, and I just said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
That's really what it was.
Yeah.
And then circling back to our point of, like you have to do something, like kind of like go to the gym or train mixed martial arts. You're just sitting on your ass watching Netflix and then you quit alcohol. Then all of a sudden, you're just going to like revert back. Where do you think you're going?
You have to find passion. You have to find a passion or something. I went to jail for 30 days so methadone, while it's a drug that's supposed to help you, is more addictive physically than heroin. It's like a month-long detox.
Yeah, because it's opiates, right?
Yeah. And benzo is also really hard. So I went to jail for 30 days on on methadone and benzos, and I was sick. Deathly ill for 30 days in jail, right? It was a nightmare. When I got out, I finally starting to feel better. What did I do? I got back on methadone. I got back on everything. Who the fuck does that? I knew how miserable it was, yet I went back to it.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That's what we were saying, though. It's always easy to go back to it because it's fucking easy.
I didn't have a purpose.
Yeah, right.
I had no purpose.
And what's crazy is that looking back at it, that's why, I don't like to say how they do things in AA. By the way, I went to AA for 4 months, okay? Just a little bit backstory. I went to AA for 4 months. I remember my friend went with me. It was so awkward. I feel like I didn't belong there because, you got, so just a quick story. It's like, you got a guy telling a story like, I sucked dick for a heroin sandwich and stuff. I'm like, I can't fucking relate.
Yeah.
But then your worst enemy or you're just as bad as him in a different way.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm part of AA. I go to AA. I have 11 years sober. I've been doing it.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not against AA.
No, and it's okay if you are. Plenty of people are. Sure. But one thing I learned is they say, look for the similarities, not the differences.
Sure.
And what that meant to me, I remember years ago, I was less than a year sober. There was an old, probably 75-year-old black woman speaking at this meeting. And I was like, what the fuck am I wasting my time with? I almost left. I was like, it's not like she might be a nice person, but what the fuck am I going to do? She was an alcoholic. I'm a heroin addict. You're 75 years old. I'm way younger than that. Black, I'm not black, and a female. I'm not a female, right? Yeah. So I'm like, nothing in common. And for some reason I stayed and I started listening. And her story wasn't my story, right? She drank, she was sex trafficked, she was a hooker, right? All this crazy stuff. But I didn't look for the differences. I looked for the similarities and the feelings and the thoughts and the emotions and the bottoms that she had and the guilt and the shame and the remorse, all the stuff that was going on. She articulated it really well and I felt it. Yes, I literally almost cried and I was like, wow, there's something powerful
It's
going
powerful,
on here.
yeah.
And she was and I could have, the same person or somebody else just like me might have been like, fuck, this lady, might have walked out halfway through because he didn't open his mind enough to look for what might be similar.
Understood. Yeah.
And again, I don't preach AA. I don't tell you have to go to AA. I don't care if you hate it, right? It doesn't matter to me. But for me, I had some things that helped me along the way to enjoy it.
I understand why AA is around. I think it's more good than what I don't agree with, right?
Yeah.
It's because of the fellowship that you get.
Yeah.
You got a sponsor, you keep each other accountable.
Yeah. And really the steps themselves are like the fellowship and the meetings. I only go to a couple meetings a week anymore, to be honest with you. But the steps and the inventory process and the amends process, through the 12 steps and the helping others. And that's what gave me my perception change, my change of my mindset. Really, that's what really solidified it. Looking inside and doing this process, and that's what changed me. So I credit AA for that for sure. But I hate when people again go to AA, they get sober, they go to AA, they continue smoking cigarettes, they continue eating like shit. Like they're sober, they're fucking kind of miserable and cranky, they're overweight,
right?
And they're like, yeah, well, I'm sober, I'm not shooting heroin, I'm great. I'm like, well, how about you actually elevate yourself to where you fucking could be?
Like change your mindset.
Like, change your, and look for more than just being sober. I went, I started working in treatment. I found, got back into jujitsu and mixed martial arts. I became, I remember when I was in treatment, I was already 39 years old. I had just had ACL surgery. I was walking into a treatment center on my crutches, sitting in group, and I was like, I'm gonna get back into fighting. I'm gonna be a fighter. You're gonna watch me on TV fighting MMA in the future. And these people looking at me, you're a fucking 40-year-old junkie with a broken knee. How the fuck is this ever gonna happen? You know what I mean? And fast forward, a couple of years later, I'm 45 years old. The picture you showed me, that's from a fight that was on UFC Fight Pass. Cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that plenty of people watched, right?
Fucking amazing.
And right. So, and I'm not bragging. There's way more I could have done. And but for a junkie from, Gloucester, Massachusetts, that, barely most people don't even make it out of that city. I'm pretty proud of the stuff that I've done once I got sober.
Absolutely. And it's something to be proud about. Like, it's interesting because you don't know till you know, right? That's why I think empathy is such a big deal, because it's like, well, man, it's people could say, yeah, man, that sucks that you're an addict. I mean, but they don't really know. And you're not entitled to that. Like, you don't, it's not like you want them in your shoes.
Yeah.
It's just, do you really, man? Because it's a fucking one of the hardest things. It's the battle of life.
So I used to always hear people say, I'm grateful I'm an alcoholic, or I'm grateful I'm a drug addict. I used to hear them saying, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. How the fuck you? And then I realized that I am grateful I became a drug addict, or I am a drug addict, because without it, if I never did drugs, I'd have probably lived this mediocre life. I never would have found the 12 steps of AA, which changed me. That I would never have been pushed to become this person. The fact that I became an alcoholic and drug addict, and I went so far down, it pushed me to go on this journey and really rise. So instead of living, I'd much rather live my life down and then up here rather than mediocre my whole life.
Well, yeah, it's the
and it gave me the opportunity for that.
Absolutely. I mean, there's like one or two books. There's one called The Dip and one called Peaks and Valleys, right? There's peaks and valleys, man.
Yeah.
And again, what we're talking about here, we don't realize it back then when we're addicted and hopped up on shit. But then everything's just in hindsight.
Yeah.
Like what you said, for me, it created urgency. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, and you realize how close you come to, which is going to be inevitable for all of us, right? Which is like death or getting into trouble, getting, being in a gutter somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just, it creates urgency that you only live like one life.
Think about your journey. And we don't know this for sure, but this podcast and what we're doing here, this may not have ever materialized if you didn't have a drinking problem and that start changing your life. And
I know for sure that it wouldn't have happened. That's for sure.
So right there,
even if how we were talking about, so you could get sober, right? And then all of a sudden not doing anything, like you have to kind of elevate yourself.
Yes.
That's why I'm so gung ho on like self-improvement, because this is a self-improvement martial arts podcast.
Yeah.
You know, ironically, but it's dude, that's why I be spouting out on like my Instagram about self-improvement martial arts.
Yeah.
Because it saved my life.
Yeah.
And I know that's like, you know, martial arts saves everyone's life. Like, right. There's things you could apply in martial arts in real life. But then that's real, man. I always have this quote about saying, my martial arts and my alcoholism was fighting, and then martial arts choked alcoholism out. You know what I mean? I was like,
100%.
damn, dude,
it.
like
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then here we are. And then all of a sudden, I know people are different, and they say, that's why. Okay, so going back real quick about, you know, the AA thing. Just one part, and this is like a small aspect of it. Why when they make you go, oh, I'm Chris, you know, like I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
To me, just subjectively, is that it makes you identify as that.
I get that.
That's the
whole
problem with
there's
me.
a whole movement and a bunch of people that identify as a person in long-term recovery. I'm Jay. I'm a person in long-term recovery.
Right.
Which kind of reframes it, and it's like, you know what I mean. Instead of the negative being, if you think of being an alcoholic as a negative, that's a problem.
Sure.
If you think of being an alcoholic as I'm grateful that I'm an alcoholic because it forced me to shit, then it's not so bad. But depending on where your mind is, I see that creates a problem for people.
Yeah.
If it does, I would jump on the bandwagon with that term. I'm a person in long-term recovery.
No, I like that reframe.
It's kind of cool. One thing I was going to say, what you were saying a minute ago reminded me, I said this before. I went to jiu-jitsu 20 years ago to learn how to be an MMA fighter. Thought I was a tough guy. I wanted to improve on it, or I wanted to fight, right? I went to jiu-jitsu to learn how to fight and like really be a killer. And I learned life. Right.
Yes.
It taught me all that other stuff, but without jiu-jitsu or without MMA and the martial arts in general, I can't imagine where I would be. Best case scenario, I'd be one of those people that is still sober, but still smoking cigarettes, or still 220 pounds, fucking
kind of miserable in your head while being sober.
That would be me without martial arts, or without elevating myself through martial arts and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, because if you're spending, that's such an interesting point, man, because you have to spend your energy on something else, right? So what you said just hit me, because if you're not doing anything, that means you're spending your time just thinking about being sober 24/7.
Yep.
And that's a rough way to like live life, because you're like, I don't want to use. If you're not expending your energy somewhere, right? Like in a jiu-jitsu, when we go jiu-jitsu or, you know, whatever martial arts we do, we're in this like flow state. I'm not thinking about drinking, man.
Not at all.
I'm thinking about the guy in front of me.
2 hours can go by and I'll be like, holy shit, 2 hours went by. It felt like 5 minutes.
Bro, and then you feel good, and then it's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
It's like, why the fuck would I want to eat terrible and then drink?
And
like
sometimes, like, so I would, back in California, I would go to my MMA, like the pro team sparring MMA, and I'd be going 100%. I'd get my ass kicked. I'd be kicking at it. It'd be an hour and a half of pure hell, right? I loved it, but it was pure hell. But when I was done, the high that I was on for the rest of the day, when you can go through tough things, the rest of the life is so easy. Like real world shit is so easy.
The problems that you face is so minute.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, whatever, buddy. Like if someone tries to like,
this dude was literally trying to choke me unconscious an hour ago. Why would this guy that just cut me off in traffic bother me?
Yeah, I'm like, all right, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It's like in my head. I'm not telling them that. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, it's like I'm too tired for this shit. Like you take it all out at the gym, and then I had like a self-realization. I always have this after jiu-jitsu. Like I'm like, what's up, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Like my energy level is so up there because I know I'm good. I know I just did one of the hardest things that you could do.
Yeah.
And then that's
self-esteem is through the roof, because you know you just push yourself harder than anybody, 99% of the human beings on the planet.
Yeah, money in the bank, dude.
Yeah.
For that day.
Yeah.
Right? Even so, I always like to say this too, even with lifting, right? Even if I get a workout in first thing in the morning, that's why I do my workouts in the morning. Kind of like to get it out of the way, and then you know, both like to get it out of the way. And I know that seems kind of like, because I say that because sometimes we don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I don't.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, oh, I'm not energized to go to the gym
That's
every
the
time.
difference between motivation and discipline, right?
Exactly,
We get into
yeah.
that later, but
Yeah, you know, and then so I'll get it out of the way, and then you feel good after, and then if that was the only thing I did that day, and then you know, like I was just tired, I didn't feel anything, I still accomplished that thing that day, so I don't have to feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah, there's a video about a guy talks about making your bed, right? Why you should make your bed in the morning. I have the
Make
book
your
too.
bed
Yeah,
right
you
there,
see
yeah.
the video then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But one of the things is, even if you had an awful day, you come home to a bed that's made and
Yeah.
you made your bed, right?
I do that every morning too.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too, for sure.
Dude, I have a whole, and the morning routine for me, this is probably going off topic now, but then even the morning routines, like making your bed, it's the same every fucking time.
100%.
It's the same.
I am such a creature of habit. My
Yeah.
meals, everything, exactly the same every day. It works for me. Why
Yeah.
am I going to change it? I don't act on my feelings anymore, right? I used to think when I was a kid, right? When I was growing up, I thought I was a tough guy. I wasn't I was the biggest pussy. Everything, my feelings dictated everything.
Sure.
I couldn't feel hungry without going and eating McDonald's. I couldn't feel angry without starting a fight with somebody. My feelings dictated my life. Today, my feelings have nothing to do, like, feelings are important and right, and I feel them, but they don't dictate how I act. It don't dictate the daily habits that I do. Don't dictate. I don't not go to the gym because I'm tired. I go to the gym because because that's part of my discipline. I put it in my life. And with jiu-jitsu or MMA, it's a class time, right? You can't train by yourself. So you have to, so like with lifting weights, you can maybe go later.
Sure.
But if I stay in bed a half hour late and I get up and it's 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock and I missed fucking jiu-jitsu class, I'm pissed off.
Exactly. And the thing is with that is that you're pretty much to go to those classes. That's a good point. That's a great point because you could go lift anytime, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's almost like you're outsourcing your workouts because if you miss the jiu-jitsu class, you miss it.
Yeah.
So like it's done.
Yeah.
You just missed it.
The next day you ain't missing
The day
it.
you
'cause
ain't
know
missing it,
how
yeah.
Pissed
Yeah.
off you were that you missed it.
I missed the gym. If I miss lifting in the morning, you're right. I could
go
go at
later.
night. I could go in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And all that, which, you know, again, not to like gloat, but I never miss it because I know that I'm going to kick myself in the ass.
Yeah,
Even if
'cause
I miss in the morning and knowing that.
you learn the discipline, so you just stick with it.
Yeah,
It
and your
works for
routine,
you.
dude,
Yeah.
habits and routines, it's like the times you go to, it's so specific too. Like what time you wake up,
Yep.
what time just like alcohol, right? Like when I was using, I'd never be the guy to use all day. Okay. That's probably what we missed. I was the type of addict to where I'll drink 750 milliliters of whiskey at night.
Yeah.
It wasn't like throughout the day I'll put Jack and Coke or Jack in my Coke,
Yeah.
and then go to work and sip on it. It'd be like, okay, I'm gonna get through work hungover as fuck, and then I'm gonna do my thing, and then around like 7-8 o'clock, I'm like, oh, it's fucking time, it's fucking on, and then black out and then do the same thing over.
Yeah.
That's the type of alcoholic I was. But then when I say 750 milliliters of like whiskey, I'm not fucking joking.
Yeah, that's
on
a
an empty
lot.
stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you want to feel that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, yeah, that was, oh man. It
It's
was
funny.
just-
This thing with both martial arts and addiction are so prevalent everywhere. This morning I was at Syndicate, it's open mat, and I was sitting there, and there wasn't many people there. I was sitting there with two other guys, and we started talking about what I do for a living, and he asked me how it is. He's like, I have a friend who has a 10-year-old daughter who's like addicted to social media and stuff, like the same exact, and that's a 10-year-old with the same issues. And he's like, I'm trying to get him to get her into jujitsu to build up her self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, fuck that. This everybody on the planet, I guarantee you, is either has their own problem with it or has a family member or a close friend that has a problem with drugs or alcohol. It's a huge problem.
It is, yeah. It's a not even a epidemic. It's a pandemic.
Yeah,
I
and
mean
the
that's all over the world.
solutions out there. People just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, and it's also in some cultures, it's culturally like accepted.
Yeah.
Right. In the Philippines and Thailand, and I could only imagine in UK.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, that's a fucking pastime.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
if you're not
They're
doing it, yeah, I mean,
Right?
If you're not doing it to that culture,
Yeah.
or some parts of that culture,
Yeah.
then you're like, like a bitch or something. You know what I mean? It's
outcast.
like, you're an outcast. It's like, what? Really? You're not going to get invited? But then thank goodness I'm old enough to not care.
I'm like,
I don't care.
That was my big problem when I was younger. I can't not drink. Can't go to parties, can't go to clubs, can't go to bars. That's my life. That's what I do for fun. You literally, it's either my life is miserable from drinking too much or even more miserable from having no fucking life at all. Like, I'll take miserable over more miserable.
Yeah, and it's funny how like condensed your thinking is, right? You're like thinking tunnel vision.
Narrow.
Yeah, it's so narrow. It's like, wait, if I'm not like living life to the fullest at that time, you're like, I'm just wasting my life.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, I don't want to be in there because I'm wasting my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, so I need this hit of dopamine with putting no work in, like a shot of heroin or drinking, right? Now I like to get I like to put my work in to get my dopamine,
of course.
Like I like to go to the gym and put in a badass, hard ass training session. Then I get that dopamine rush from that, right? I earned it as opposed to not earning it at all.
Oh, that's just as simple as saying instant gratification.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like saying there's no fear without courage.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Love that.
And again, it's the other way too. There's no growth without discomfort.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
like we can go, whatever is easy, it's almost not worth doing.
Yep.
Even Joe Rogan said that on the podcast. It's kind of like,
I do things on a daily basis just because I don't want to. Just because of it. Yeah. I started taking at the end of my shower when the day I got sober. So it's been over 11 years. The end of my shower, I turn the shower as cold as it can go and I stay under there for 30 seconds.
Right.
And part of it is just because it's uncomfortable to do. You know what I mean? There's other benefits and there's a lot more to it that I love. It learned me some patience, learned me to think at the moment and enjoy my warm shower before that. It's taught me other things, but just the fact that I just do difficult things every day, just to work that muscle.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you get wired, because I recently, probably it's been 2 months now that I started taking public speaking courses, and public speaking courses are one of the worst phobias that people have. I
got something for you.
Dude, there's a case study to where people would rather literally die than go up there and public speak because they feel like death.
Yeah, I bet.
When they're going up there.
Yes. Have you ever done improv or thought about doing improv?
Yeah, I've thought about it for sure. I think that's where I'm going next.
I went when I was in Tennessee. A friend of mine or a guy that I know said you got to do improv. It'll get you out of your shell. You'll meet people. You'll learn public speaking. You'll learn to listen. You'll learn to think on that. Like it's amazing. And I'm a shy person. I don't even like most people. Like you had to go go take an improv class. It'll especially you where you're into public speaking and you have this podcast. I think you'll love it and you'll grow from it.
Absolutely, man. And I completely agree with that. Like I said, that's pretty much the path, to be honest, because if you're in public speaking and then you're really like committed, I think there's only one way to go about it. Like you have to, because my dreams and goals, to be honest, is to be like a keynote speaker. I want to be on a TED Talk. I want to travel and based on what we've been through, I think that's why we're doing this podcast right now. It's to impact lives and add value to them. That's why I do it, to be honest.
So Nat, that with that passion and that hope and knowing people are watching you and looking up to you and listening to it, you could probably, that is helping people is going to help you never go back to drinking again, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine if somebody watched this podcast and then saw you out drunk the next day. No way. That wouldn't jive. No, right?
That doesn't make any sense.
So
no way.
For that reason, you're right. That's why working in treatment, like, it's a job. I get paid for it. So I'm not necessarily just doing it to help people, right? Yeah. But I'm helping. Like, imagine if the people that look up to me in my treatment centers that I'm working in, right, see me out drinking, like it doesn't make sense. My words ain't matching my actions.
Well, it's a contradiction.
Yeah. And I would never want that to happen. That's like my safety net. That's never going to let me go back to getting fucked up.
Even just as a man, you probably shouldn't do that, right? Because you're not sticking to your word.
Yeah. Like, integrity has become a huge part of my life.
Absolutely, man.
It was no part of my life.
Dude, that's all. That's everything that we do. That's martial arts. That's business.
Yep.
Like if okay, so now I have say, like a crew, right? That I kind of, I guess you could say manage. Not really. They're just part of the team. Yeah. But then now it's like, wait, what were we talking about? I lost my train of thought.
Integrity.
That's right. When we talk about, that's the first thing I look for when I'm trying to onboard someone, right?
100%.
It's.
I don't even care about their skill. First is in, do they have it? If I'm hiring people,
Exactly.
I can teach you the skill part. I need you to have integrity. I need you to have,
because look, the integrity comes with that, right? It comes with the character.
Yeah.
So it's like,
you can't really teach it. You have to either have it or you don't.
Of course. Yeah. Right? And it's you know, what's funny? It's that it's so easy to identify.
Yeah.
You just watch their pattern.
Yeah.
Watch human behaviors.
Yeah. I don't even listen to people's words.
Don't listen to
listen to their actions.
Ralph Waldo Emerson, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you say.
Yeah,
I love that quote, dude. That's like the ultimate. That's all it is. You don't, even with like contract negotiations, you don't take anyone for their word unless it's signed on that fucking paper.
Yeah.
That's action.
Yeah.
Right? You know? So, which causes integrity. If they sign it, that means they're in.
Yeah.
Right? You
and
know?
past that, you do some research, see what they've done in the past, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then if there's just patterns, man. It's like small behaviors.
Anybody can talk a good game these days.
Yeah. If they're telling you that they're gonna show up and then they don't, and they do that a few times, there's a fucking red flag. And then as you get older and you get more experience, you start identifying that. You're just like, wow.
Yeah. Sometimes people at the treatment center will be like, oh, I had a job interview today and I couldn't make it. I didn't show up. I'm like, did you even call him and tell him? He's like, no, I'm going to try to go to, I'm like, dude, don't bother. I would never hire you.
Yeah.
I would never hire you after not showing up or calling me for a job interview.
If you need that job, that should be the most important thing. I know shit happens. That's why it'll fly like once.
Then you make a phone call and you explain it, right? You don't just no call, no show for a job interview and expect that they're going to hire you. Like
exactly.
Your actions just spoke. You just told your whole story.
Yeah, but even going at that, if you really needed that job and you were like, that's what, and usually that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
You're going to make it. Like, it depends how bad you want it, right?
100%.
You're going to fucking make it. You know, there's no excuses here. Like, you're going to get a flat tire, you're going to run your ass over there.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, dude, But man, dude, this has been a great, dude, we've been at it for like an hour, 20 minutes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh? It's crazy. No, it's all right. But man, any last words for, you know, like martial arts, addiction, both?
Oh man, they put me on the spot with this.
Get it.
I mean, I don't know. No, listen, they're one and the same for me. What I did in getting sober is I created a life where helping people get sober and my sobriety and training martial arts and coaching people and doing right fitness and nutrition and mindset is like it's my life today.
Yeah,
it's become my life and it's how I pay my bills and it's how I do. And I'm gonna do more to come with it. And it's so. There's a saying, find a job you love and you never have to work a day in your life, right? And that's the goal, right? Just doing something that's not even work, but you're getting paid for it.
Bro.
Right?
Yeah, that's such a great point.
And you have to follow your passions to do that.
Absolutely.
And you got to get uncomfortable and face your fears to follow those passions usually. And that's what I've done. And that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, man. I mean, even with this podcast, I don't get paid for it.
Yep.
You know, I don't have any for now, but I don't have any sponsors. Yep. And I actually invest my own money, my own capital into this thing with like, you know, everything.
Yeah.
And the thing is that if you can do that and like you keep doing it and then you keep investing without, you know, making like the profit off of it, that means that's showing something.
Yeah. Even like today, MMA fighters are finally starting to make a little more money. But back when I started in 2005, 2006, I wasn't getting into it for the money. There was no money. There was no chance. There was not even a chance for money. You know what I mean? I did it because I loved it.
Of course.
You got to do something for passion. It's great when the money comes on the back end, but you got to do it for your passion.
I think that's the pathway though, right?
Yeah,
it's almost like, I know that it's hard, especially in the business world.
Yeah.
They say, don't think about the money. Well, fuck, man. Like if you have kids and shit, you know, you can't just burn the boats like in the back and then go gung ho.
Yeah.
You have to do it really, really smart. But again, going back to the not taking any risk and not doing what you want in life, what are you living for, man?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
if you're living, you know, there's this thing about like scarcity and abundance.
Yep.
At first, I thought that was woo-woo stuff. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
But then that's a scarcity mindset.
Yes.
If you're just there, be like, I got to pay these bills. It's like you're on fight or flight defensive mode.
Yep.
When you're like, well, I'm actually thankful for money that I get to pay my bills. It's going to work out.
It'll work out. I'm going to continue to do what I have to do. The money will come.
That's faith.
That's
literally faith.
That's abundance.
Yeah,
mindset,
abundance mindset. Yes. And now, like that's a mindset, man.
Yep.
Like what you were talking about.
Yep.
When you put yourself in that position, and then, like I said, I'm spending my own capital, but then I believe.
Yep.
I just do.
Yep.
To be honest with you, I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know the people that I'm going to meet. I don't know.
It's just going to happen.
It's just going to happen. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
I know we're running late, but do you ever see somebody now with like a victim mentality, that victim mindset? Everything happened to them. I didn't do it.
Right.
I see it now and I'm like, oh my God, I see it so blaringly obvious, right? But people that have that don't realize that they have this victim mentality.
Yes.
They really blame. They can't take any accountability. Everything happened to them and they're just a victim. It's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you start to take accountability and you understand, if I did things differently, whatever, you know what I mean? That's a huge mindset shift from the victim mentality to extreme accountability.
Yeah. And don't worry about it. It's not like we're trying to end it or anything, but it's just,
that's a big one.
That's a great point, because what I understood from there was like, you're right. Like they're so, what's it called? They're so sucked into that mindset that it's not like they know they're even doing it. You know what I mean?
So like if you put on
it's almost like, how can you blame them?
That are tinted red. Everything's gonna look red, right?
That rose-colored glasses.
Yes, it's like they have those whatever mindset we're talking about. If it's the victim, it's like they have these glasses of the victim mentality. That's all they can see, right? Or whatever mindset you have. It's like, right? If you don't learn to that's not you, right? You're not living your life. You're living the thought that,
because you see, it's subjective to you.
Yes.
You see everything different. And the thing is that sometimes, like, I even put it on my story. Sometimes I'll kind of, I guess you could say overdo it on the like quotes and the stuff that I say, but I don't give a fuck.
I love them.
Bro, I'm so gung-ho on like self-improvement and martial arts because it's a way of life. It's not like I'm signaling to people like, look at me. I'm so fucking like, I'm so disciplined.
I have a whole thing in my phone of my picture of different quotes that I read all the time.
See my fucking room. It's like filled with, Henry Ford. If you think you can or you can't, you're right. Right? You know what I mean? I love that one. But it's not like even a habit. It's a way of life now.
Yeah.
If you got that rose-colored glasses, and unfortunately, I hope people get well from that disease, because that's honestly at this point, that's what I think it is. Because, like you said,
it is.
They're not aware. They're not aware, and you have to be aware first. Otherwise, you're in denial.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. I love that one.
Yeah.
But you have to, in order to protect yourself, to be your very best self, you have to be so adamant about cutting people off like that, because it'll seep into you. Negativity seeps way more than positivity. Like it's easy. It's like a venom. You think like you're hanging out with that friend, right? That's like still back in, the high school mindset, whatever. And then you think, oh, it's nothing because, now I'm a changed man. No. Their attitude is slowly going to fuck your subconscious up.
You hang out in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut.
Yeah. Or if you hang out with 5 dumbasses, you're going to be the 6th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's very true. You got to be careful where you put your attention.
And and then when I say that, I sound like a broken record, because that's going to be in my eulogy. Like, you know what I mean? It's going to be, you are who you hang out with. And the number of times that we've heard that quote, it's like, we know, but people don't take it seriously.
They don't listen to it. They hear it.
They hear it. They're like, I know, dude. Yeah. And then they don't act on it.
They're fucking hang out. Idiots.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And that's why we are like, meaning we hang around where we hang around at the gym.
Yeah.
And then I come back here.
I don't have a lot of friends these days. I'm a very, and it's
honestly, lonely, dude.
Yeah, it is.
It's lonely a little bit.
I ride a motorcycle because it's like a 1-person vehicle, right?
I used to ride one too.
I don't have and because I just don't put up with the bullshit. Like if somebody likes to gossip, people always like, oh, I'm like, you're gossiping. Oh, well, that's because so-and-so gossips to me and I just get caught up in it. Nobody gossips to me ever, because they know that I don't gossip. Yeah. Why would you come gossip to me when I shut it down every time you try, right?
Exactly.
So you don't gossip because your friends gossip. You guys gossip together, or whatever mentality you're talking about, right?
Yeah. And what does that tell you, right? It's almost like when we're sitting here saying it feels lonely at the top because we try to wake up in the morning, we do martial arts, and again, we're not better than anyone. It's just, you have different skills than other people, right? You value different things.
Yep. Yes.
Because sometimes it feels gloaty. It's like, oh yeah, look how disciplined. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. I'm not better than anyone for sure. Okay. Every individual is different, but if you live that way of life, if you notice, not a lot of people are doing it because it's hard to do.
Right.
It's hard to be disciplined. Right. It's hard to go to the gym.
Everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the easy route anymore.
Exactly. And then even though sometimes I think like, oh yeah, I'll come talk to people, right? That's not in that world of like martial arts. They'll be like, oh, you do martial arts? I'm like, yeah. To me, it's like breathing now, right? Yeah. Because you're at the gym. It's not like you're gloating. It's not like, yeah, I do martial arts. Yeah, fuck yeah. No, it's even in lifting. They're like, oh yeah, you look like you go to the gym. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But it's a way of life. It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm flattered. I get it. Yeah. But then I'm not going,
someone sees my ears. They're like, oh, you must be a tough guy. I know not to fuck with you, right?
Yeah, it's like, joking around. Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, well, no, they like, yes, it has taught me that, but it's taught me that's the tip of the iceberg. Everything else that it's taught me, the man I become is because of these years. You know what I mean? That's not that I'm a tough guy. It's everything else.
Of course. And plus, when you hear that kind of stuff and then it doesn't really like affect you, right? Again, I say it's like flattering, great, but then you'll hear it, think about it for 1 second, and then you'll move on. You'll be like, all right, whatever, back to the gym, right? It's not, 100%. And even with, when I talk to my friends, right? Like say if you got a guy taking like cardio kickboxing classes or like he took like 2 jiu-jitsu classes and then all of a sudden he's pulled a bunch of his friends and then he's bar talking with them like, I jiu-jitsu, man. I kind of like fucked up my teacher a little bit. Yeah. For me, I don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I only talk about it like the training that I do when they ask.
Yeah. Or with people that also train.
Or that people that are also trained. But then we talk about different things. It's not we're like, I fucked them up.
Yeah.
It's more like, dude, that arm bar, like, how do you do that?
What was
like
the technique behind that?
Yeah. We're talking about different things now. But with my really good friends that I have around because they're good at other things, I'll only bring that up because they ask me. They'll be like, "Oh, dude, that's crazy that you train with us." I was like, "Yeah, that's cool."
Because you ain't bragging about it anymore. You have real self-esteem, right? You don't need to like portray that you're
right. It's real confident. That's a fucking great point.
Yeah,
that's a wonderful point. Yeah. But anyway, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's why I love these podcasts because I think, just by that hour and a half that we've been talking, I think, it's to impact lives.
Yeah.
And value. Great. This is like true.
Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks for coming, man, for your time. And man, I love these kinds of talks, man, because it really puts a lot of introspection, especially for like listeners, you know, and people that are watching. So I appreciate you, Jay, man.
Awesome.
Let's go.